Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Let's make some lentils together. Like I stated before, I'm on this GLP-1 medication and I have not been successful in getting enough protein in, so I'm getting ready to make some lentils. I call lentils with everything but the kitchen sink. I went ahead and chopped up my seasonings. It's too hard for me to try and chop everything up and talk at the same time. Those are the lentils, some red potatoes that I didn't want to go bad that I'm cutting in half, and some cilantro. You'll see right here, my oil of choice is avocado oil. I love avocado oil and it has a high smoke point. So what I'm doing right here is putting some avocado oil in that pot. Gonna let it get hot, and I'm starting to go ahead and put my onions and celery and bell pepper in there. What I'm going to do is sweat them down. I was trying to be careful not to put the tomatoes up in there just yet. I wanted the bell peppers and the onions and celery to sweat down first, basically the Trinity. And I put the tomatoes and the carrots in a little bit later. Also, I washed my lentils real good before I even get into this step. Picked out all of the bad ones and I let them soak. I washed them multiple times. You didn't see that in my cilantro. I see a lot of people cut up cilantro without washing it. People, cilantro comes out of a field. You know, people do God knows what in these fields and it's dirt and stuff. You got to wash that stuff. And I scrubbed my potatoes down. So that's why you saw them sitting over there. I washed all my veggies, just to be clear about it. But anyway, so what you see me doing here is stirring the Trinity around, trying to let it sweat down real good, because for those types of veggies, the Trinity, I don't want them like really crunchy in my beans, soups, or whatever. I'm adding the jalapenos here. You'll notice that for a lot of my meals, I add jalapenos. I love spicy foods. And I went ahead and added the tomatoes in as well. I absolutely love spicy foods. I like flavorful foods. I don't like salty, but I do like flavorful. And you will see that throughout this video. And I know that I use a lot of seasonings, but most of the seasonings that I use have little to no salt content. I want some salt, but not a lot. This garlic is pretty good. I can't remember what store I got it from, but it's pretty good. And I'm a garlic lover, so I put a big old heaping tablespoon of garlic there. And again, when you're cooking, please try your best to keep your area clean. I try and wipe down as I go. And then it even saves you some time too. Once you finish cooking, you don't have a big old mess, to clean up. Keep your area clean. Be a clean cook. But yeah, so that's all I'm doing right here is sweating those veggies and stuff down. Tomatoes. I guess you can say I'm a tomato-based person. I'm learning that about myself as I create these videos. So this is, I guess some people would call it green sauce or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Some people may call it sofrito. I don't know. But there's a red one that's titled sofrito. I don't exactly know how to say that one, but it's good. And so I put it in a lot of my dishes. It gives it just a really good flavor. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing there. I added that, and I like to build my flavors. I had some of that Kentucky Legend diced ham because I was gonna make some salad boats, and I still plan on making salad boats. But I was like, hey, this might be good to throw over in here as well. So that's what you see me doing there. I didn't want to use all of them because at some point during the week, I still want to try and recreate the salad boats that I had this weekend in Southern Virginia. Those salad boats were amazing. I know that's not what we're talking about here, but that ranch dressing, I think I was lowering the stove because I didn't want it to, maybe, I can't tell if I lowered the stove or increase the temperature. But anyway, what I like to do, like I said, is build the flavors. And this Rotel tomatoes, all I had was this huge can, and I was not about to go to the store just because the can was huge. So what I did is I used some of them, and then I put that in a bowl for later in the week. As you see, I'm getting low on tomato paste, but hey, you know how the story goes. We're going to use what we have. We are not running to the store for any and everything. That's a no-go. And you'll see throughout that I'm constantly stirring everything. And if you've noticed, I have not added any seasoning yet. I have just been, incorporating the veggies and stuff like that to get them all immersed in. Those are the lentils that had soaked. I believe they soaked probably for about an hour after I cleaned them real good and stuff. And usually I will season the veggies and then season the lentil. But I'm not a salt person per se. I don't really like salt. I want a little bit of salt in my food. I want more of the flavor than the salt. That's what's important to me. So here it is. I'm about to incorporate the seasoning. This is turmeric. Turmeric is, really good. Has a lot of antibacterial and properties, antifungal. I put some chili pepper in, some ground cumin in there. Cumin is pretty good for you as well. Some garlic powder went in there. Some seasoned pepper, and that seasoned pepper has no sodium in it as well. And here's the salt, garlic salt. Did not use a lot of it, and a little bit of Tony Chachere's. And again, incorporating everything. And I think that's why I waited this time. I want to and some oregano. Trying to make sure that everything is, seasoned about the same. A little bit of celery salt. Did not use a lot of that either. And a little bit, I do mean a little bit, of course, sea salt. And here you see me, that's my measuring cup. I'm pouring the water in from the Brita into there. I think I used about 4 cups of water because I only used 1 cup of lentils. So yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, 4 cups of water. And again, I stirred for a while just to keep incorporating all those flavors, make sure there was nothing sticking on the bottom, and which it wasn't, and to get all those seasonings. And yep, here's some tomato paste, tomato chicken bouillon. I used that one instead of the regular chicken one since I was doing beans, which was going to give more like a stew. Yeah, I poured a little bit too much in there. Again, it has some salt content in that, so I did not want to over salt my food, because that saying, you can add more, but you can't take it away. And some people say, if you accidentally add too much salt, all you got to do is put some sugar in it. But yeah, sometimes I just rather take my time and build up my flavors. There's my cilantro. So after I wash the cilantro and stuff, I drain it and I let it rest on a paper towel to get some of the water off of it. I love cilantro. I absolutely love cilantro. I am not Hispanic, have no Hispanic in me, but everybody always tells me that in my past life, I must have been Hispanic. Because a couple things that you'll probably always see me or I add frequently to food is cilantro and jalapenos. I love cilantro and jalapenos, and I love me a good Mexican restaurant. I just do. That is just my thing. So, like I say, I try my best to keep my area clean. At some point, I must have tasted it and felt like it needed a little bit more salt. And I know it looks like I'm shaking away, but what happened is I did not tear all of the paper underneath the holes, so too much wouldn't come out. So that's how come I had to keep shaking like that. And you see I add a little bit more garlic salt, and these are the potatoes after I had scrub them with the little vegetable brush and wash them really good. I cut them up. Those are some red potatoes that I had that I did not want to go bad as well. So then I let it simmer, but then I kept coming back checking it. And you can see I'm skimming some of that stuff off the top. And I did that several times during the cooking process. I didn't keep my stove up too high. I'm one of those people also. I think I've also previously stated this. I am a slow cook. I like for my flavors to marry and incorporate well. I don't like cooking anything up high. That's just not my thing. I like to cook with love. I want the person eating it to know that I took time with it. And I was putting in some crushed red peppers. Again, I like my food a little bit spicy. And let me just tell you, this dish, the lentils, they were not overly hot at all. They had just a subtle kick to them. I know I added those jalapenos and stuff, but then you have to think about I added 4 cups of water to this. So yeah, it wasn't hot, but it had a nice flavorful kick. And I waited to the end to add the carrots, because things with like root vegetables and stuff, I want them soft, but I don't want them mushy. And so that's why I waited. I even waited a little bit of time before I added the potatoes, which not sure if you could tell at the beginning of the video or not. But yeah, I don't like mushy vegetables. I still like for my vegetables to have a little bit of texture to it. Here I go again. I'm trying my best to wipe the stove off. And y'all already know, I've stated it before, I hate that stovetop. Grateful to have a stove to cook on, but I hate that stovetop. I like using what I call my southern cookware, which is heavy, and like my cast iron. And that particular stovetop is just not good for that. So here, what I did is got some ice cubes and put it in a spoon. And that's what I was able to use to skim all that froth off the top of the beans towards the end. I was like, forget this. Let me just get an ice cube and start skimming all of that stuff off. And at this point, they were pretty much done. So yeah, I was sitting here. I'm not sure what made me use 2 utensils, but I don't know. That wooden spatula, I like using it to incorporate everything. But like I say, the whole process, which it does not have to take about an hour and a half or 2. It took me about an hour and a half or 2 just because of the way I like to cook. So yeah, thank you for joining me in cooking these lentils. I hope you guys had an awesome day and you're off to a great week, and we'll talk soon.